What's up, everyone? And I'm Chip from Gridiron and Fantasy Football. And today I'm going over my Week 1 injury updates. You know, it's very crucial that you pay attention to what's going on throughout the week, all the practice reports and everything that will determine who you're going to start and who you have to sit. And right now, there's a lot of guys that are questionable for this week. There's some guys that are already considered out. So I want to go through those lists so you are aware of what's going on with the players that you may have on your roster. You know, the big one today is Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is out this week against Washington due to a hamstring injury. He did not travel with the team, so obviously he's out. So you have to pivot. You know, if you're lucky enough to get Boston Scott or Corey Clement, it may be guys that you have to plug into your roster and hoping for the best. You know, obviously Miles Sanders, if you drafted him pretty high. He's a guy that you rely on to be there every single week. Just like me, I have him in 2 leagues. I have to pivot. You know, I don't know who exactly. My league, we're pretty competitive. Boston Scott's already gone. I could try to get Corey Clement, but it's hard for me to trust somebody that I just don't know what their usage is going to be like. Right now, my option is James Robinson. That's who I have on my roster. It's the starting run back for the Jags. So that's where I got to pivot to. It's unfortunate because obviously Miles Sanders is a guy that could potentially give you a week-winning week. But right now, he's not playing. So just have to pivot. Hopefully Boston Scott or Corey Clement are available in your leagues if you don't have any better options. But this week, he's out. And in Denver, Courtland Sutton, it's going to be a game-time decision for Week 1. What's not good about this particular injury is that Denver Broncos play on Monday night. So with him being a game-time decision, you either have to pick up somebody who's in that game, or you just have to trust it and not start him. You may have to play another receiver that you have on your roster. You can get Jerry Jeudy. He may be a guy that you can use to plug and play, because my guess is he'll be the number 1 wide receiver. But the limit, there are limits to having players that are game-time decision on Monday Night Football. Because if he plays and has a great game, you missed out on that player. But then if you try to play him and he's a game-time decision, he's doubtful, and he's not activated that on Monday night, then you lose points. So be prepared. Try to find a better option. If I had Courtland Sutton on my team, I'm just not playing him. I'm going to have to pivot, because last thing I want is a guy that is a game-time decision, doesn't suit up, and then you're dealing with trying to figure out what to do, and you may not have good options available. So, unfortunately, that's the scenario going on in Denver. And in Tampa Bay, Mike Evans was listed as doubtful, but now he's been upgraded to game-time decision. This is also a very frustrating thing to manage, because obviously, if you drafted Mike Evans, you want to play him. But just like Courtland Sutton, I'm not playing Mike Evans. We have no idea if he does play and he's activated for the game tomorrow against the Saints. What's his usage? Is he going to be playing 100% of the snaps? He's probably not going to be that type of player tomorrow. So if I'm going to try to play somebody on that offense, I'm going to pivot. You know, Justin Watson and Scotty Miller are very deep guys. If you're in a deep league and you need somebody that's available, those guys could be a possibility for you. But I've never seen, other than last year, Justin Watson's a guy that got a lot of playing time when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin went out. But we don't know exactly how Tom Brady is going to be with these receivers. We don't know who his favorite guy is going to be based on not having Mike Evans. But my guess is Chris Godwin and Rob Gronkowski are going to get the upticks in targets. O.J. Howard could be obviously another guy. But when it comes to wide receiver, Mike Evans, to me, is a guy that I'm not playing, regardless if he's activated or not. I just can't trust that. I want, every week you're trying to win, and you want guys who can give you points, who are going to be playing a high percentage of snap count. So I'm staying away from Mike Evans this week. And then Amari Cooper, he's dealing with a hamstring injury, and he wasn't listed on the Week 1 injury report. But still, that you have no idea. Hamstring injuries are very, very complicated. Soft tissue injury. It could take one cut, one play, and he could be out for the rest of the game. And also, he has Jalen Ramsey he's going to go against tomorrow. So based on the fact that he's coming off some type of soft tissue injury, and then he's dealing with one of the best corners in the league, I know you have to play him because you drafted him, but, just have low expectations when it comes to Amari Cooper tomorrow, because he's a guy that, like I said, he could be out there for a couple plays and re-aggravate his hamstring, and then he gets you no points. And then on top of that, he's going against one of the best corners in Jalen Ramsey. So I'm avoiding Amari Cooper if you can, but I know if you have to play him, I get it. And then In Detroit, DeAndre Swift is removed from the injury report. He's playing in week 1. Obviously, this is a good sign if you drafted him. He's a guy that you may have to play in your flex. He's kind of one of those boom-bust players. We don't know what his snap count will be with Kerryon Johnson. Obviously, I think DeAndre Swift is the more superior talent, but we just don't know exactly how that's going to play out tomorrow. So if you have him, you're probably going to have to play him. But the good thing is he's not injured, and he's going to be able to play tomorrow. And then Preston Williams was a full participant in practice Friday and Saturday. So the fact of the matter is he's going to play if you have him. It's a tough matchup against New England. Same with Devontae Parker. He was practicing in full. So those two guys are ready to go for week 1. But the team that they're playing is has a very good secondary, and just like anything else, probably have low expectations for these two guys. I have to play Preston Williams in one of my leagues because we play in a deeper league where we play 3 wide receivers. So I'll be in there, taking it, as well, just because we have no idea what to expect going against New England defense. So with that being the case, and on the other side of the ball, we have Julian Edelman. He was left off the injury report on Friday, so he's healthy. So if you have him, plug him in, play him. Like I said, don't know exactly how Julian Edelman's going to be with Cam Newton. Totally different type of quarterback. How does that chemistry already have? They obtain any of that chemistry right now in training camp? But I would say Julian Edelman's a very low expectation guy this week, just because we just don't know what he's going to be like with Cam Newton. And then with the 49ers are in a particular situation that's very interesting because here on the West Coast, there's a bunch of wildfires going on. There's smoke everywhere. The air quality is awful. And if you have Tevin Coleman, he's probably a bench player you have. But if you have to play him, be careful because he does have sickle cell, which the 49ers are giving him the option if he wants to play or not, because if the air quality is too bad for him to play, he's not going to play. He has that decision. But also, this is a game that could be postponed if the air quality hasn't improved. As of right now, as of Saturday, as I'm recording this, there hasn't been any indication that the game will be postponed, but things can change momentarily. So right now, it looks like that game will be played. But if you do have Tevin Coleman, be careful on if you're playing him because you want to make sure that he is actually going to be activated for the game tomorrow. And then the 49ers already ruled out Deebo Samuel for week 1. He's a guy that we knew that probably wasn't going to play in the first couple games due to the foot injury, but they already designated him out, so obviously he's on your bench. And then Atlanta Falcons receiver Julio Jones was limited this week with a hamstring, but all indications show that he's going to play, so plug him in. Like I said, with the hamstring injury, those are type of injuries that could happen and re-aggravate at any moment. So if that does happen, then obviously, you're going to be frustrated because of the fact that he's your elite wide receiver on your team, but it looks like he's healthy enough to play. And then the Eagles wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey is out for week 1, which we kind of knew that was going to happen anyways. He just came off the PUP, but we didn't think that he was going to play anyways. He still needs a few more weeks to recover. So then, with that being the case, Jalen Reagor, the rookie wide receiver, is activated. So he was dealing with a shoulder injury for the last few weeks. He's still dealing with it, but he's healthy enough to play. So, if you're looking for a guy that you need for a boom-bust type of situation, Jalen Reagor could be the guy that could help you out. All offseason and all during training camp, he has been the guy that people are talking about and hyping up in training camp. So they want him to be that number 1 wide receiver. I don't know what his usage will be tomorrow, obviously. Who knows if the shoulder is going to bother him during the game. If he gets hit a certain way, will he be out? A lot of unknowns, but you still got Deshaun Jackson there. So if you need somebody that could stretch the field and maybe get you one of those big games, Deshaun Jackson's there for you if he's available in your leagues. And then Kenny Golladay, he's not going to play tomorrow. He's out. So obviously adjust your lineups accordingly. If you're able to get Marvin Jones, he's a great player to pick up. He's going to get most of the targets. He's definitely a good receiver. I would play him if I had to. I feel very confident in that. So with that being the case, just unfortunately, you're going to have to bench Kenny Golladay this week. And then with Chicago, David Montgomery is questionable against the Lions. He's dealing with the groin injury. He was injured a few weeks ago, and it was still kind of uncertain on how the extent of the injury was, but it looks like he's not going to play. But if that's the case, you can pivot to Cohen. If Cohen is there in your league, if you're playing in a PPR league, he's a guy that's going to get probably the majority of the snaps. They're probably going to use him a lot more in open field on screen passes and everything like that. But if Cohen's available, plug him in and play. just based on the fact that David Montgomery is questionable for week 1. And then last, we have AJ Green. AJ Green designated himself as 100% healthy. His hamstring's feeling good. So AJ Green's another player that is one of those boom-bust players for this week. We haven't seen him healthy in a very long time, and AJ Green was an elite talent. I still want to believe that he's that same wide receiver, but with the injuries building up in the last few years of his career, he's a guy that I'm waiting to see play. If you have AJ Green and you play in the deep league and you have to play him, go for it. But if you're able to have the luxury of having him on your bench and playing someone else that's healthy, that's healthy, then I would play that guy. But like I said, these are the injuries updates for week 1. A lot of guys on this list. A lot of guys are dealing with soft tissue injuries. These are guys who didn't really have much of a off season, or they didn't have much of a training camp and preseason games. They're not really in football shape, so it's not unheard of for these soft tissue injuries to take place for a lot of the football players that are on these rosters. So with that being the case, everyone, good luck on week 1. Pay attention to social media. Pay attention to the people out there that are able to figure out quickly enough where they're going to be actives or inactives. Look at the times for Monday, usually at around 11:30 and 12 o'clock on Sundays, Eastern time. All the teams will have their, the players that are activated or are going to be out for that particular game. So with that being the case, I'll see you guys in the next podcast. Good luck.